what's up everybody? Welcome back to the Zim video. I'm the Zim. I'm an artist and musician from Seattle, Washington, currently living in San Diego. And this is my channel. And this is Studio 1200 we're sitting in right now. And this video is going to be another tunnel book video. I'm making another tunnel book. And I wanted to show you, do a little just making of video. Check it out. So this is the image I'm going to use right here. Let me see, there you go. Alright, like that. If you know this artist, I went and saw her at the Seattle Asian Art Museum a while ago, and I picked up these flyer things, and I said, wow, that'll be pretty cool tunnel book, I think. We'll see how it turns out. So I'm gonna make it out of this. One of the different things I'm gonna do, so this is my second kind of behind the scenes video for making a tunnel book, and what I want to do with it is I noticed on the first one I feel like I could describe the binding process a little bit clearer. So probably, I'm not sure how it's going to play out, but I'm thinking like when I get to that point of the book making process, I'm going to slow down and show you and talk to you a little more step by step on the binding process, how I do it. So you can see a little clearer, and then hopefully today as well I'll make the bag as well, the bag, because I make a bag for all of my books. So we'll see how this turns out. Alright, I hope you enjoy. I'll see you at the end again. About to start in on the sides, the binding, the zigzag shape on the sides. So the accordion side. So what I like to do is I use material that I found that kind of relates to the actual book itself. And this was a brochure from the art museum that I picked up. You can see right there it says Asian Art Museum. This is one of the locations in Seattle. And so I'm going to use this, I'm going to fold this into my accordion sides, I'm going to cut it down to be the right size. And then what I do after I make the accordion sides and stick it together is I take the same image, or I take another image, another postcard or whatever, and cut these into strips and then glue them onto the side to kind of give it a more complete look. There's ways to make your bindings by itself with whatever paper you use, can be a completed look by itself, but I just kind of came up with this technique that you saw in my last video as well. And I'll probably put this color full side on the inside of the book, and then use this white side that will go outside that I'll then cover with this. So I'll do kind of a step-by-step as we go, a little time lapse in between. But what I did already, so these are my three pieces for the back and then the sides, and what I did already, if you can see here, is I cut down two of the sides a little bit narrower, just so the overall depth of the book isn't as deep as it would have been if I just used this as all by itself. Because from my experience of making these books, if it gets too deep, it just doesn't look as good. The images need to be somewhat close together to kind of give it a better look. If each layer is kind of spread apart too far, I don't like the look of it as much as when they're a little bit closer together. So I did 6 layers, so I think that'll work out. And then I did I'm doing these sides. So anyways, I'm gonna get started cutting these down. And so the way I do it, so this is the measurement, this is the size, and I have, you know, my grid on my cutting mat here, and it says it's 5 1/4 inches. And then, so since I have 6 sides, I always do like a little I always do a little test. I make a little diagram, I guess you could say, of the book, and I said I have 6 layers. I said, so I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I draw these lines like that. Maybe I'll make them darker. I'll use a black marker. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I draw lines like that on a piece of paper to represent each page of the book, like that. And then I draw the accordion binding on it. So that's the accordion binding right there. And then what I do is I count how many pieces I need to cut. So I need to cut 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10. I have to cut 10 strips. So I have to cut this down into 10 strips to fit my 6 books pieces. So then I look at this and I go, well, it's almost 5 1/4, so it's almost a 1/2 inch for each strip. A little bit more than a 1/2 inch for each strip. I'll probably just make it a 1/2 inch. I'll trim down this even a little bit farther, so that they all come out to a 1/2 inch, just so I don't have to do complicated math to figure out. But that's what I'll do. I'm just gonna trim them all down to a 1/2 inch. I'm gonna take off just another little bit more on both sides of this, so that I can just go 1/2 inch. 1/2 inch per strip. Alright, so I'm gonna get started. Alright, now that I got my strips cut, my strips that go on the side, now I have to cut this down to make my actual binding. And what I do is, since each one of these strips is a 1/2 inch, I basically just use my grid on my cutting mat to make my folds just slightly over a 1/2 inch. And I have to cut this down for both sides, so I have to cut it in half first. So I'll do that right now. Just do it like this. Make it easy. And the way, so this will be one for each side. It's a little narrower than I usually do it, so it'll only be this is the height of the whole book. So this will only be that. The binding will only cover like that much of each book, of each page, which might make things a little more flimsy than normal. We'll see when it turns out. Normally I usually use something that can go the whole length for the most part, but part of what I might have mentioned, part of why I like to use kind of found objects and things that relate, and I didn't have anything else that related that was thin enough for what I needed. So I'm gonna wing it, see if this works out. But so like I said, I need 10. There's 10 of these on each side, 10 of the strips on each side. So I have to fold it so it makes my 10 layers, like I did in my little graph here. And to make it easy on myself, so I don't have to think, I just start in the center. So I fold this in half. I don't have to worry about any kind of math, like figuring out how many folds to do starting on the end and working in. So I just start in the center, and do the equal amount of folds on each side. And then it doesn't really matter if I overfold or whatever. I just kind of go crazy because these end pieces get buried inside of the book anyway. They don't matter. So you just kind of, they can be really any length, the very ends of each of the accordion. So anyways, here I go. So what I use my grid again. I need to make it just slightly over 1/2 inch, so I just line it up, and since my grid is divided into 1/8 inches, what I'll do is just go, I'm just going to go a 1/2 and then add an 1/8 and make that my width of each fold. So I'll just do it now. And as you can see, there's folds already in this pamphlet, but I'm just going to ignore them and hope they don't cause me a problem, which they won't. I've done this before, so. But and I've found it really doesn't matter if it's perfect. By the time you glue it all together and everything, it evens itself out. I mean, as long as you don't make one fold that's crazy off. But so there's my first fold, and then once I got my first one done, I can just use the fold itself as my guide for the rest. So I'm going to do this 2 times, and then I'll be back. So now I got my 2 accordion sides, accordion sides that'll go on both sides. I folded them. I made sure that the color will be on the inside and the white will be on the outside when I put it together. So now what I have to do is cut little pieces out of the centers of these to make a little flap so it will glue on to the pages. So essentially what I do is make it pretty just generic. I'll do my little drawing again here. So if this is one square, this here represents one square of the accordion side, one length, one of those. What I do is I just cut a notch like this. I don't know if you can see that. I cut a notch like that. It's probably a little out of focus now. That will fold out. So I just cut right there, cut inside there so that the other part of the accordion side stays together. So that's where the fold is. A little extra piece comes out of the fold and glues on. After I do it, I'll show you a close-up of that process. So since my edges, I made my edges right here, these edges are 1/4 inch width. I basically make this little cutout a 1/4 inch as well. So it'll fit just right on there and give me some room to glue when I do it. So then I just have to do a little bit of thinking, make sure I lay this out so that it'll be the way the book will be. So if this is the inner part of the book, like so. I know this is a terrible angle, but whatever, I'm just gonna run with it. The back page of the book goes right there, and then you glue them together. So you want to make sure you cut your notches out on the correct sides of these. So on your right side, on this side, looking at the book, it'll be the second panel in toward the book. And then skip a panel, next panel toward the book will be where you notch it. I don't know if that made sense, but we'll run with it. I'll show you when I'm done. I'll show you when I'm done before I put it all together. Okay, here we go. And I just arbitrarily pick the length, the width, the height of the little notches. Just kind of pick of arbitrary size, and I make them uniform all the way across. Alright, so let's see if I can do this in focus. So I glued the first panel on to the binding, so hopefully you can see what's going on. Basically, so the next level will fold like this, and then I'll glue the next page onto the little flap here, and so on and so forth. And as you can see, I drew a little X as I was working on each where I should cut for each panel to make sure I didn't cut in the wrong spot. And then if you saw in the time lapse, I used my ruler to measure, and it made sense to do 3/4 of an inch to the top and bottom. It just seemed like a good space distance to use. So now what I'll do is I'll just lay this just back down and start to glue on the rest of the panels. What I use is a piece of paper, like just any kind of piece of paper, the one I've been showing you with, and I stick it underneath the little flap that I need to glue so I don't get glue all over the place, and then I'll glue that, and then just work my way out. I'll fold it in and work my way out as I put the actual pages on. So I think that's all I wanted to tell you right now, so I'll get started. So the book is basically together now. Now I just have to put those strips on the sides. I'm going to glue these on in the order so they match the picture again. And then I'll glue the back on the back. So I hope that was clear on how I do the bindings, how I do the accordion sides, and it helps you do it. And I'm done talking until, I think I'm done talking until I get to the end of the video. So I'll see you at the end of the video. Alright, I did it. I finished. There it is. Did the bag and everything this time. Hopefully you could see a little bit of what's going on with the bag. I didn't really break down the process, but let's take a look, shall we? It's a little bit bigger to hold up, but this is the latest. Hold on, but let's focus in on it a little bit here. So there it is. If you want it, you can buy it. It'll be on my Etsy store. But other than that, a couple things to mention about my process that I'd like to mention is just that I work with found objects is really important to me. I have this philosophy of start where you are, use what you have, do what you can kind of philosophy. And you know, there was a time when I wanted to make art, and I wanted to make sure I kept making art. So in order to do that, I used the materials that I found around me, so I didn't have to spend money on materials. And so I used found objects, such as the postcards and flyers and different things like that. But then also this bag material. I used to work for a kite manufacturer, and this is kite material. So I have a bunch of it just, you know, in my closet that I keep on hand for when I want to make a bag. But that's it. Thanks for watching. If you want any other more details, or if you want me to go over something else next time, I'm happy to. I'll probably do more. I don't know how I'll do breakdown. Maybe I'll just do some that are just general time-lapse type ones and behind-the-scenes type looks at making them. Again, here are my handles for my social media. So if this inspired you, you can either comment on the post on YouTube or you know, tag me in any of those social media handles with what you made. I'd love to see it. So, alright, that's it. Thanks for watching, and I'd love it if you subscribe to this video, and we'll talk to you next time. Peace.